Please welcome Margaret Byrne. Margaret, thank you so much for being here. Of course, the director as well puts herself in the film. Angela Roache-Pena, please. Daniel Brown. I'm happy to introduce our moderator, Matt Kudish. Matt, thank you very much. Matt is from NAMI-NYC, the executive director. Thank you so much. We also have some other people from the film here. Margaret, do you want to let the audience know who else is here? Give them a round of applause.
Nadia's here. That's Angela's daughter. And Violet, my daughter, is here, up here. And then Letitia Dickerson is here, who's the producer and impact and engagement director.
And just to remind you, we also have folks coming in virtually, and happy to take questions from them as well as from our audience too, once Matt's asked all of his questions, of course.
Hi, everyone. It's such an honor and a pleasure to be here with you tonight. For those who don't know, NAMI-New York City has been providing education support and advocacy for families and individuals affected by mental illness for all free of charge. And if you want to learn more about us and get involved in our work, NAMI-NYC.org. I don't think, at NAMI-NYC we talk a lot about how there's 1 in 5 of us is living with a mental health issue, and the other 4 are their family members, their friends, their neighbors, their colleagues. And so it's really recognizes that all of us are affected by these issues in some way. I don't think anyone else could have made this film. Anyone who wasn't affected by this issue, it would have been a completely different story. Margaret, can you talk a little bit about what it was like to tell these stories, being a peer, being someone who identifies with these issues so personally?
Well, I think originally I didn't think that I was going to be in the film. I mean, I never set out to be in the film. You guys know that. And I had started the film back in late 2014 when Cook County Jail was the largest single-site mental health facility in the country. And so I'd started filming in Cook County Jail, and it was a struggle because I just felt like it was hopeless. You know, even though a third of the population was getting mental health treatment, what that looked like was, it felt hopeless, you know. How can you get mental health treatment when you're incarcerated? So that's when I went to look at the mental health courts. And that's how I met Angela and Daniel and Demeter, who's not here today because he is right now living with his father in Bulgaria. Yeah. So it was a process to understand for myself that I was part of the story, because I think initially, you know, it's easy to think that your story isn't important or isn't part of it, and they were what I thought was important. But then I realized along the way that if I was going to tell, you know, stories about people with mental illness, and I really wanted to hopefully make a film that would help to destigmatize it, then I needed to be honest myself. And so that's kind of how it came to be.
Angela, Daniel, what was it like for each of you knowing that Margaret also could really relate to the experiences that you each were having? What was it like for the film to be directed by someone who could completely understand what you were going through in so many ways?
Well, it was a relief. Like, I didn't feel I would be judged, and I felt that she would have more of an open mind and be understanding of some of the issues that I was dealing with.
Yeah. What about you?
With me, it was like a sense of comfort because, you know, she's dealing with it. So when you go through what you go through, you don't feel bad to express yourself because at any point in time, she'll express what she's going through. So it's always better to deal with someone that's going through something with you than to come to someone that has no aspect of where you're coming from, because then you guys are on 2 different pages, and that kind of makes it kind of tough, and that messes with you in your head a little bit. So it's always good to meet somebody on common ground. And then Margaret, she's just a great person anyway, irregardless. So, I mean, it was pretty good working with her, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
it was good because I got to be myself and didn't have to hold no bars about it. I just really got to be me.
You could
So,
feel it. You could feel
Exactly.
it watching the film, that there's just this understanding, this shared understanding, this shared experience.
Exactly.
And you say it, someone even says it, you don't have to say anything. I can be with you and just, it's okay. I think you talked about it after you'd come out of the hospital, that I could just be with them and I didn't have to explain what was going on. They just get it. And that's the value, really, of peer support, which is at the heart of everything we do at NAMI-NYC. In addition, as I mentioned, the 1 out of 5 and then the 4 being family and friends, I'm wondering if each of you could talk a little bit about either what family support means to you on your mental health journeys, or things you might want family members to understand how they can better support relatives who are going through similar situations.
Well, with me, my family's very supportive of me, but like with me, I got diagnosed late, so I wasn't always on my meds. So it'll be times I'll be cool with my family, and then I just break away from them and wouldn't talk to them. But I noticed when I stayed away from family, things didn't add up good for me because I didn't have the support, so I had no one to talk to. So I would talk to myself and make terrible decisions. And then after a while, I call them back. But now I'm back in tune with my family. I don't see that happening too much. I'm on my meds now. They understand everything I go through. I could talk to them about just about anything with them, and they hold nothing personal towards me. They look out for me. They do what they're supposed to. They understand me completely, and I love my family for that.
Angela, how about you?
How about myself? It's always a blessing to have family members who are supportive of you. I know growing up, I had mental illness in my family. It wasn't really talked about. And as I got older, I didn't wind up getting diagnosed until later on in my older years. But the older kids have been supportive, and the younger kids, you know, they're getting to know about this documentary that I've done, and they are very supportive. And I try to talk to them because, you know, they might know somebody that's going through something, or they might themselves be going through some things that they might find hard to talk about. So I just want to let them know that they're not alone, that they don't have to be ashamed, and that I'm here for them. And I try to just have that open conversation with them.
I think every time we hear stories about people who are living with mental illness, we give other people permission to talk about their own experiences too. And I think it's so important that we're creating a space where we can normalize these kinds of conversations and talk about it. If we don't talk about it, we never can really understand how to help ourselves, how to help other people. Daniel, I'd love to hear a little bit about your take on mental health court. How did it affect your life? What do you think some of the ways that it might need to improve?
Well, as crazy as it seems, being incarcerated wasn't messed up, but I think, in a way, me getting in trouble with the police was like the best one of y'all gotta hear it out though. It was kind of good for that it happened like that, because my life wasn't where it was at. And mental health court, they kept me in line. Like, you know, you have some courts where you mess up, they send you back to jail. This court, they work with you. They understand that you're going through something, so they're not so quick to scold you. So you have an outlet that you're not afraid to go through. Because a lot of times you're on probation, you're scared to go to your probation office because you think they're going to lock you up as soon as you tell them something. So mental health court helped me out a lot, and that helped me get my apartment. That took me out of homelessness. I was homeless because of my mental illness. So, like, that court helped me out dramatically. It changed my whole outlook on life, changed everything for me. For real, for real. Mental health court saved me.
Angela, how about for you?
I feel the same way. The mental health treatment program, it helped me. It gave me an option of being able to get treatment versus being sent to prison. So that was a huge relief. They also provided a lot of services, mental health services, supportive services, that actually winded up being beneficial to me versus me being in prison and not getting the help that I needed.
Margaret, I realize I didn't let you answer the family support question.
Well, I say it in the film. You know, I think I think for myself, I need accountability. And I think being a single parent, you know, you have a small child, let's say, there's no other adult around. You could just slip down the slope and nobody really knows until they do know. And so just having accountability, and I think often it's family members in this film through this process, at a certain point I was accountable to them because I said, we're going to make this movie, we're going to tell our stories, and for years it was just me and my camera, and so they believed in me, and that meant everything to me. And I think at the lowest, you know, times, I still had to be responsible to them and answer to what I committed to do with them, and we did it together. And I think that to me is the big success of this and we're here today, you know, here in New York. We started this 6 years ago, and it's wonderful to, you know, just to be here in New York City from Chicago and sharing these stories. So I'm so happy.
And sharing hope.
Yes.
Yeah, and there is hope. There is hope.
Yeah.
Because we're all sitting here.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You know, I think there's so many people who are struggling themselves, or family members who see people struggling, who aren't yet able to take the steps that you've all taken and make the strides in your recovery journeys. If there's one thing that you'd want to say, either to people who are living with mental health issues or family members who are still really deep in the struggle, one message, one takeaway, what might it be?
I would say that if you like the movie, just notice that we're trying to put this on the forefront because a lot of people don't have the complete understanding of mental illness. They think it's something you could just shove under the rug and that'll be that and they'll get over it, but it's not like that. Everybody needs to know that you know someone with mental health, talk to them, support them. Even if you just say hello to them every day, that little bit helps. Like, just let them know that they're around, that you acknowledge them. It's the little things that matter. It's the little things.
Angela, how about you?
I would just like to say that if you know someone who's struggling with mental illness, you just try to be kind. You know, a lot of people turn their nose down, look the other way, and that makes the person feel like they're alone. So just a simple hi, being friendly, a smile would make a huge difference to someone.
How about you, Margaret?
I mean, I think what you said is really how I feel is you're not alone. Even if you feel alone, you're not alone. And the little things matter. So you got to show up for people. And showing up for people can be just the smallest things. And that can change the trajectory of how things go. And that there's hope. There's hope, and this is there's not any simple solution. It is an ongoing, you know, it's an ongoing journey. And, but I am glad to have friends that understand me, and I think that peer support is a huge part of, you know, hopefully working to destigmatize mental illness, but supporting each other, because I think there's a common understanding.
Peer support, individuals helping individuals, families helping families. That's exactly what we're doing at NAMI, both in New York City and Chicago and throughout the country. We've got a lot of advocacy work to do. There are mental health courts here in New York City. The access issue is still really difficult for many people to avoid the criminal court system and get into the mental health court system. If you're interested in joining us in that fight, please come on and check us out. I'd love to open it up and hear if there are questions from the audience members. Yep, right here in the front.
First of all, congratulations. I have bipolar disorder myself, and I've been with the ReelAbilities Festival for a long time. Margaret, beyond being a wonderful movie, it's a wonderfully made movie. Where did you study filmmaking? I mean, it's just a really, your choice of divisions of I mean, you just made some beautiful cinematographic choices. So where did you study? How did you learn how to do that?
Well, I wouldn't credit where I studied, even though I think it was fine. I feel like I was a baby. You know, I was 21 when I graduated. Here I am over 20 years later. I think I learned, you know, I went to UIC in Chicago, but I think I learned how to be a filmmaker by being in the world, living life, and making films, of course, along the way. And it was interesting because when I started Any Given Day, this is my second film, and I didn't believe that I could be my own cinematographer. Not because I didn't think I could direct and be a cinematographer, but I simply didn't believe that I was good enough to do it. And it was by doing this and really having no other, you know, not really having resources to bring anybody else in, that I was like, oh, I could do this. And that's been great because now I'm going out and I'm shooting all these other things and going, oh yeah, I can do this. And, you know, so that has helped my confidence in a lot of ways too. And I think you just learn by, I mean, I filmed with each of them something like 40 times over 6 years. And so it's just I think it's a skill that you do it over and over and over and revisit things, and you see things and you feel things. And I try to think, you know, metaphorically and visually about all the things that we were talking about and reference those things. So, thank you.
Thank you for sharing your stories and for allowing yourselves to be so vulnerable on there. I was really impressed by the judge and how much she seemed to really want to be helpful and to be working with you. And how unusual is that in courts, that the judge, you know, in a court like that the judge really wants to be helpful as opposed to reprimanding?
I think every judge is different. I can speak from my own experience, which is I'm filming over a dozen cases in criminal court right now in Cook County. And so I'm seeing how a lot of these judges operate. I know Judge Edidin is particularly empathetic, and I don't think every mental health court judge operates like she does, because she said it herself. You know, it's like other mental health court judges, you violate, you have a dirty drop, they're gonna put you back in jail. And the other judges will say to her, well, how did you get so many people to graduate? And it's because she has a deep understanding and empathy because of her personal experiences with her own family. And I think that those are the people that need to be in those positions, is people that have some empathy for an understanding of the 360-degree life of a person, not just that one incident. So no, I don't. When I got to Judge Edidin's court, I'd never seen a judge that operated in the way that she did. But I do think that other specialty court, you know, mental health court, drug court judges are that way. I wonder if we could be, you know, culturally thinking about, you know, being judges in that way in regular criminal courts, you know.
Sure, yeah. But I think your point about her lived experience, having been affected by these issues personally, it's just if you haven't been through it, you can't, it's so difficult to really understand. And I think that empathy and that understanding, that validation, that kindness, that compassion comes from being in those shoes or similar shoes. Yeah. I think you have a question.
Congratulations first. The movie was awesome. It was great. Wow, like where do you begin? Yeah, I like it because it showed you like you just like me, like you're no different, on so many levels, and y'all had each other, you know. I was rooting for you. He got missing. He got missing. He said, I've been making my appointments, you know. And it's so awesome. It's so awesome. And mental health, just because that right there, like, I'm going through mental health. So I saw this on the computer, and I was like, you know, I'm just going to go. Because you have to be aware of this. I mean, and the more information that you get, it helps. and like this is like it's serious. It's a real it's a real worldwide like your mental health. Like when you say that, some people think, oh, I'm okay, but you know, like a lot of things I saw in the movie, like you hold them because like he was talking about, like when you relate to somebody and they can't relate to you what you're going through, you feel alone. You feel like nobody's listening to you, and it plays. It plays, especially from upbringings. You know, we can't. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot of different things that touch it, man, and it was really awesome. Much success to y'all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think there's a question.
Yep.
Oh, right here.
I have a very quick question, and since you all seem to have gone many, many times through that revolving door, what was it that ultimately let you make this change to take hold of who you were and how to move on in your life? I mean, was there a particular episode, a particular experience in the system? And really, congratulations. I rooted for all of you, and I'm so glad to see you. It's really a privilege to have you here.
Well, for me, it was seeing the pain and the destruction that my behavior, me not following through with the recommendations, and just seeing my family hurt, you know, it made me really want to get on board and just focus on being a better person, being a better me, taking care of not just my physical well-being, but my mental well-being as well.
For me, my main thing was like when I was going through it, I've been going through it my whole life. I didn't get diagnosed till I was in my 30s, but like that's off of meds. Like me, I'm a high stickler for medication because if you don't take your meds, you're not gonna be on point. Something gonna go wrong. And like that's what was it. Every time I end up in jail, I was off meds. So I'm like, you know what? Let me take these meds and get on my job and see if I can't make something better. Cause my family ain't making an excuse. They know what's going on with me, but they ain't gonna let me use that just to fall back on. Like, well, it's all right. Nah, you got to do better. You got younger people in your family that don't know about this, and they look up to you. So that was really it. You know what I mean? Taking my meds and wanting to change for myself more so than anything, feeling as though I could do it, and that's what it was. And I turned around and did it. But it's a steady battle though. It's fighting. I'm fighting every day, every day different.
I want to thank you all so much. This has been amazing. It's a real honor to have you here. This film is so important. It's so great. Tell your friends. It's available this week through ReelAbilities, and it's really a conversation that has to happen. So thank you so much. Matt, thank you so much for leading this. NAMI-NYC has been a fabulous partner, and it's a fabulous organization. This is what we love to see. We love to see these moments where our partnerships are part of the conversation, are part of the film. It's really a perfect connection. I want to thank our filmmakers and the participants, of course, for being a part of this conversation, being part of the festival. There's so much more. I want to thank, of course, all of our accessibility providers for today who are going to be working hard all week. And we will be here all week. Tomorrow we start at noon with amazing short films and have a full day of fabulous programs. A big thank you to Pfizer, who is our conversation sponsor. And thank you all. Have a good night.